I'm about to give up because this is the 6th time I've filmed this video because I just can't speak today. I recently found out a hole on YouTube, and it is people who do book hauls, and it inspired me to do this video. I'm going to talk about my favorite books on my bookshelf at the moment. The first book I'm living at the moment is actually a series. It is the Cirque Du Freak series by Darren Shan. There's 12 books in all, I think. It is about this kid named Darren Shan, and one day a freak circus comes to town, and he and his best friend Steve go, and he falls in love with one of the acts, and he falls in love with one of the spiders in the acts, and he steals it, and the spider belongs to a vampire, and the spider bites his best friend Steve, and in order to get the cure for the bite, he has to become a half vampire, and it's really good, and it's about all the antics that follow after that. The books are not this big. This is 1 through 3 combined into one. This size, so you can easily read them in like half a day. The second book I'm living at the moment is a classic. I revisit this book and read it every year. It is The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. It's a little problematic in some places, and because of that, it's on the banned book list in most schools. It is about a kid who flunks out of school right before winter break, and he gets a note saying that he cannot come back to school. So he has to pack up his stuff and goes home. And instead he packs up his stuff, rebellious Rump-Springer type thing. And instead of going home to his parents, he does a bunch of crazy stuff. And the book is about his journey to like accepting his mistakes and finding out what he really wants to do. At one point he even like orders a prostitute, and he sits and instead of like having sex with her, he sits and like talks to her about his problems. Next I have a memoir, and it is I Am Not Myself These Days by Josh Kilmer-Purcell. It's about his days when he did drag. He meets this man that's like perfect on the outside. He has money, he has looks, but as he starts to date him and he moves in with him, he realizes that he's not really what he seems, and it changes him as a person, and the relationship turns abusive, and he doesn't know what to do. And the book's all about the ups and downs of that relationship and how he works his way out of it. Next I have a relatively new book. I think the movie came out, or it's about to come out. It's called Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. It's about this kid who kind of like skates his way through life. He's friends with everyone and he doesn't really stand out, but that's the way he likes it. He's planned his whole high school career that way. And then one day one of his classmates gets diagnosed with cancer, and his mom finds out, and his mom kind of like forces him to hang out with her. He kind of becomes known as the guy who's friends with the dying girl, and it's really good. And the character Earl is my favorite character of all time. Next I have a book by the hilarious Mindy Kaling. It is It's Everyone Hanging Out With Me and Other Concerns. It is a memoir also about her life, and it is so funny. She kind of like recants of life when she was little and growing up with like Indian parents, and how her life was different than most children, but it is hilarious. If you've seen anything that Mindy Kaling does, you will know that she's one of the funniest people alive, and it really comes across in this book. Of course, I cannot do a What's on My Bookshelf video without including one of my favorite books of all time, Binge by Tyler Oakley. Now, even if you don't watch Tyler Oakley, this book is hilarious. Like, you don't even have to have any knowledge of YouTube whatsoever to enjoy this book. And he talks about his first experience with porn, and his first relationship with a boy, and his life in college up to his life now. And it is so funny. I recommend that you go pick up a copy. I actually bought 4 of these books. 2 of them were gifts, and 2 were for myself. And this is my signed copy. And finally I have what I think is one of the most underrated book series, and it is Department 19 by Will Hill. It is one of the best book series I think I've ever read. It is about this kid whose dad died when he was really young, and his death is really mysterious, and he doesn't understand it until one day he grows up and he finds that he was in part of like a secret vampire hunting society, and it's not like your typical vampires that like sparkle in the sun, but there's like bloodthirsty monsters, and these people are in charge of like hunting them down and killing them, and when you stab them, they don't just like turn into a pile of ash tags, they explode and blood and guts go everywhere, and it's got Frankenstein in it, and it's just amazing. Will Hill is one of the best authors I think I've ever read. I think he has, there's either 3 or 4 out right now, but I recommend that you stop by your local bookstore and pick this one up because it is really good. And those are currently the books that I'm living right now. If you have any book recommendations for me, you can tweet them at me. I'll put my Twitter in the description below, or you can leave a comment and tell me. I love reading books and I love buying books. I love buying books more than I love reading them, because a lot of the time I'll start a book and I'll never finish it, but I'll just put it on the shelf so it looks pretty. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Cool.